Have you ever wondered what variables are in Python? If so, then you're in the right place. Let's dive into the fascinating world of Python variables. In the simplest terms, a variable in Python is a reserved memory location to store values. Think of it as a container or a box where you can put stuff in, stuff like numbers, text, or even other Python objects. Why are variables so important? Well, they allow us to capture and manipulate data, which is the heart of programming. Without variables, we couldn't hold on to information or change it, making programming quite a dull affair. In Python, variables are incredibly easy to use. You don't have to declare them explicitly, and they can hold any type of data. They are dynamically typed, which means you can change the type of data a variable holds even after it's been set. So, to put it simply, variables in Python are like containers that store data values. Now, what makes Python variables unique compared to other programming languages? Well, let's dive into the flexibility of Python variables. Unlike many other languages, Python variables are dynamically typed. This means you don't have to declare their type up front. You can simply define a variable to hold a string, integer, or any other data type without any explicit declaration. Imagine you're shopping and you have a bag. In other languages, if you declare your bag to hold apples, it can only hold apples. But with Python, your bag can initially hold apples. And then you can empty it out and fill it with oranges. This is the beauty of Python variables. What's more, Python allows you to change the type of data a variable holds even after it has been set. So today your variable could be an integer, tomorrow it could be a string. So Python variables are not just containers, but flexible containers that can hold different types of data. You might be wondering, how do you name a variable in Python? Well, there are a few key rules and conventions you should know about. First off, a variable name must start with a letter or an underscore, and the rest of the name can consist of letters, numbers, or underscores. However, variable names are case-sensitive, so apple and apple would be two different variables. Now here's a pro tip. When naming your variables, make sure they are meaningful and descriptive. Apple underscore count is a lot more understandable than just A. And speaking of apple underscore count, you might have noticed that we used an underscore. In Python, it's common to use underscores to separate words in variable names. And here's the final piece of advice. Avoid using Python keywords as variable names. You wouldn't want to confuse Python or yourself, would you? Remember, a well-named variable can make your code easier to understand and debug. So, how do you assign values to these Python variables? Well, in Python, the process of assigning values to a variable is pretty straightforward. We use the equals sign, also known as the assignment operator, to do this. On the left side of the equals sign, we have the variable name, and on the right side we have the value we want to assign. For example, let's say we have a variable named x. We can assign the value 5 to x by writing x equals 5. But what if we want to assign values to multiple variables at the same time? Python makes it incredibly simple. We can do something like ABC equals 1, 2, 3. In this case, A will be assigned the value 1, B will be assigned 2, and C will be 3. With Python, assigning values to variables is as easy as pie. Let's recap what we've learned about Python variables. These are essential tools in the coding toolbox, acting as flexible containers that hold information. Variables in Python are like labels attached to objects, whether they're numbers, strings, or more complex data types. The flexibility of Python variables is a standout feature. Unlike some other programming languages, Python allows you to change the type of data a variable holds, even after it's been defined. This dynamic typing gives you the freedom to adapt and evolve your code as needed. Remember the importance of naming your Python variables. Use meaningful names to make your code readable and maintainable. And don't forget about Python's naming rules and conventions. Assigning values to Python variables is a breeze. You use the equals sign, with the variable name on the left and the value on the right. And that's a wrap on Python variables. Remember, they're flexible containers that you can name and fill as you please. Happy coding.